Okay, here's where the fun begins. Here's where things actually start happening for us. When we actually start throwing in some properties for our layout here. So in other words, the ID selectors that are controlling our layout, right? And again, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how straightforward all this is, and I hope you dig this. So, all right, I'm going to start off with my master ID selector, of course, the wrapper that is controlling or containing the entire layout. I'm going to set a width for this fella, and I'm going to use a percentage. So I'm going to go 90%. If I can find the percent key on my keyboard, there we go. I should mention that I'm recording on a Friday. Maybe that's a bad idea going forward. Note to self. Anyway, that accounts for all the typos and goof-ups and all the rest of it. Anyway, let's continue on here. I'm going to do a margin for this fella, 10 pixels. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Again, Friday thinking. What I want to do here is, let me just back up for a sec here. I want to throw a margin onto this guy. But what I want to do here is I want my layout to be centered inside the web browser, right? Which the previous layout that we did, the straight up flexible layout, was not centered, right? So this layout I do want to center. You might know about this CSS trick for centering a CSS-based layout. What I want to do is, so we have 4 properties for margin, right? We have margin, let's see, we have margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left. So what I want to do is I want to set the margin top and bottom to, I could set it to a pixel value or I could set it to 0, whatever I want, right? But what's important here to center the layout is the margin left and the margin right have to be set to a value of auto. So what I could do, I hope that makes sense. What I could do here is I could specify all 4. I could go, margin top, and let's say I go 0 pixels, and then I say margin bottom, and I go 0 pixels, and then I go margin right, auto, right? You know what I mean, right? And then I would add on the left as well. That's a lot of typing, right? So what you can do, I'm showing you a bunch of things here all at once. What you can do is you can type all that out if you want. I mean, go for it. Add on the margin left there and set it to auto as well. That's fine. But I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but there's something in CSS called CSS shorthand. And I've actually been using a little bit of CSS shorthand as we've been going along. What I can do here is I can just say margin, right? And then what I can do is I can specify a value, right? Like this, which looks kind of weird, 0px space auto semicolon. And how this works is the first value is top and bottom, the second value is left and right. And that saves a heck of a lot of typing, and it also makes your code nice and clean and lean, right? I love lean, clean code, right? So anyway, there's a couple of different ways to use margin and shorthand. This is just one method. I could show you a few other methods, but I want to kind of stay on track here. So this is what I actually want to do. I actually want 10 pixels for the top and bottom. So what this sort of declaration says is give me 10 pixels of margin on the top and on the bottom, and give me a margin of auto on the left and on the right. Hope that's cool. Don't forget your semicolon. Okay, the next property that we add is nice and simple, border. By the way, this is how I've been doing my borders, by the way. Border, full colon space, 1 pixel solid, and then a color. That's another example of CSS shorthand. I'm not going border hyphen top hyphen style or, anything like that, or border hyphen bottom hyphen color, anything like that. It's just border, full colon space, throw in your values. And what that assumes is these settings, these border settings on all 4 sides, right? Pretty cool. All right, that's a little CSS shorthand there for you. So there's the master. I think that's cool. Let's go and do the header as well. I'm going to go and stick my cursor between the headers, curly brackets, and I'm going to throw in a padding value of, throw you a curveball here, 0.5 ems. So I'm changing my unit of measurement. You don't have to. I'm just throwing this in for fun, but you could use pixels if you want, or I suppose you could use percentage or whatever. But don't forget, padding is the space on the inside of our particular object here, a div. I'm going to throw on a background color. a background color of $CCC, and let's do, oh, here we go, border hyphen bottom, right? Different than just the border, the straight up border. Here what I'm doing is I'm specifying that I want the border only on the bottom, right? But again, a little bit of shorthand here, solid 1 pixel and then black by specifying $000. All right, so that should just about do it, I think, for the master and the header. If you want to save up and have a quick eyeball at your browser, this is what we get, which looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So the border here that goes all the way around the entire layout, that's coming off the master. So that's our master div there. And then the background color that we see here, there's our header. That's where the background color is. And of course, the border going across the bottom of the header. Now, of course, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but I'm too excited. I have to show you. Look, it scales. Isn't that exciting? All right. So we have quite a bit of work still ahead of us. We've got to throw in the menu. We've got to do the footer. We've got to do the main content area as well. And we'll get that menu set to a fixed width as well. But I just want to sort of reiterate something that I said, I think at the beginning of this lesson, is hopefully you're pleasantly surprised at how simple this is. You know, things like the, let's see, the border and the background color and the padding, that's all just sort of bells and whistles, decorative bells and whistles. The important stuff is that we set a width and we got our margin set in there as well. That centers the layout inside the browser, right? I don't know if you noticed that or not. And making sure that we have the header, of course, and all of the other divs sitting inside the master, down inside the main content area, inside the body container of our file. It's pretty straightforward. I hope you're digging it. All right, let's keep going here.